Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob, and welcome to the very first episode of the Cleveland Indians franchise here on MLB The Show 21. I'm so excited to be bringing this to you guys today. It's finally time to start some MLB The Show 21 on the channel. OFSFM riding rosters have finally dropped, so that means it is time to start our next franchise. So if you're excited for this one and this series, make sure you leave a like down below and subscribe for more franchise content. I'm so excited I just stumbled over my words, and hit that notification bell. So this is a live comm today. This is episode number 1. So we're going to be introducing the team, kind of talk about what to expect, why we picked the Indians, and so on and so forth. As you can see, I have them selected. They are currently the 15th best team in baseball, 23rd contact, 20th power, 14th pitching, 4th defense, and 8th speed. Now, why did I select Cleveland? Now, Cleveland wasn't the team I was always going to pick. They're actually not my first choice until about a week before I dropped my roster video. And one of the reasons is because they're in need of a rebuild. All right, last series we did the Astros franchise. They weren't necessarily in need of a team rebuild, more of an image rebuild. But this time, this is a team that they just need to blow it up. They just traded Francisco Lindor. They've traded Trevor Bauer, Corey Kluber. They just need to rebuild. They're not fully in rebuild mode yet. However, they're getting there, and we can kind of blow them up and kind of build them in our own image. Second reason, this is on the cheaper side. Last franchise, we did the Astros, who were known to be big spenders. Now we're doing the Cleveland Indians, who are, last time I checked, have the lowest payroll in baseball. So you can see our team budget's only $78 million. We're going to try to keep it that way, not necessarily make a lot of big free agent signings right away, kind of build from within, keep it on the lower payroll side, kind of like how the Rays, the Athletics kind of do. So a little bit different. Also, they have some key pieces that we'll touch on a little bit. Shane Bieber, Rondo Reyes, and a couple of others. So there's some key prospects there, some key building blocks to build on. So it's not a dire, just like busted up, build from scratch kind of team. And then the last reason, which is probably the most important reason, probably the reason that kind of swung me to do Cleveland, is after this season, I get to rebrand this team however I want. The Indians will be no more after 2021, and I can make them whatever I want. I can name them. I've been trying to think of names. Thankfully, I got a whole season to do this, so I can see why they do it in real life. But I can build this team however I want. I can rename them after this season. I'll take suggestions as time gets closer to that, but they will be a new team. I haven't done a rebrand franchise here, so I'm excited to do it there. But that's part of the reasons why I picked the Indians. So let's go ahead and jump into it, shall we? As we will advance here. I'm going to turn GM contracts off. Going to turn everything else on, what it normally is. I don't want to get fired. Don't want to get fired, so that would kind of ruin it here. I'm going to turn everything manual for right now, so I can kind of go through everything, see where we are at. Let's jump into the regular season. I might go back and restart this just so I have my settings right, because I do think I'm going to do a 30-team control. Now, 30-team control with air quotes. I won't necessarily be controlling every team. I'll have everything else on autopilot, but that way if there are stupid trades, I can kind of, reverse them or make sure the team doesn't completely do something that's well out of the ordinary. But we are into the season, so let's go ahead and start with the roster, shall we? Go down the lineup, see who is on this squad, and see where we are. As you can see, we have a couple of 90s, some 80s, and then we kind of really drop off dramatically after the top 4 players. We'll start in the rotation, which we got to start, obviously, with Shane Bieber, the 2020 Cy Young Award winner, only 25 years old. Still got a couple more years of arbitration, but just coming off of the Cy Young season. This is a second straight franchise where I've had the Cy Young winner on my team. As last year I did have Justin Verlander with Houston, but obviously our ace for a while. Thankfully, like I said, he's still on some arbitration years, so we got to win with him now. He's going to obviously want a big-time contract after the 2024 season. So this is our chance to hopefully do something with Shane Bieber. But it starts with him, 163 ERA. I mean, just an absolute monster. After him is Aaron Civale, the 82 overall B potential. Still, he's also only 25. He was the 3rd round pick back in 2016 out of Northeastern. And he led the AL in hits allowed a season ago, so that's not the stat you would like to lead it in with a 4.74 ERA. But it was a shortened season in 2020, and maybe that's not, relative to what his, potential is. You can see he had a 2.34 back in 2019, but he will be the number 2 rotational piece this year. And after him is 26-year-old Zach Plesac, who Plesac also selected in 2016. He's also another solid pitcher. Still young, plenty of arbitration years ahead of him. However, you do remember he did violate the COVID protocols last year, and that was not put him in a bad light with the organization when he went out late past protocol, past quarantine hours, and didn't really put himself in favor with the organization. So I'm not sure where he relatively stands off the field. That may be something to keep an eye on, but he's a good pitcher when he's on the mound. So pretty solid number 3. And then after him, we have the young Tristan McKenzie, who is the top prospect in the organization. If you still consider him a prospect, I can still consider him a prospect. 6'5", 165, string bean at 23 years old. Still has some room to grow, in my opinion. Debuted last year, went pretty good. I mean, 6 starts in 8 games, 3.24 ERA. That's not bad for a audition year, especially in 2020. So I think we have somebody who we could definitely build in the rotation here in Tristan McKenzie. And after him, we don't really have a set number 5. There is Logan Allen, who is young, a potential 22 years old. Came over in the Trevor Bauer trade at the deadline in 2019. Don't know if he's necessarily ready for the majors. He had a pretty good 2020 in his 3 appearances in his 10 2/3 inning, but 2019 was definitely rough for him. Don't know if he's necessarily ready for the spot, but we really don't have anybody else in this 5 spot. The only other pitcher we have in the majors is Scott Moss, who's also 26-year-old lefty, not really what you want for a pitcher. I don't really think he deserves a spot in the rotation, but this is the Indians. They're not necessarily loaded in the rotation, so be interesting to see what happens. And he'll probably just turn into our long reliever. In the relief pitching, so it gets kind of rough, especially in the middle innings to late innings. Nick Wingren enters our top pitcher, but at 73 overall, 29 C potential. Not really somebody you want to be the leader of your bullpen, as Nick Wingren. Last year, 3.42 ERA in his 23 2/3 innings. He's been a pretty solid pitcher across the board, not somebody to wow you. He'll probably be the setup man, or maybe one of the 2 setup men, so expect to see him mostly in the 8th innings. And another player you can expect to see in the 8th innings is the other side, is Emmanuel Clase, the flamethrower to say the least, 99 velocity. 23 years of age. He came over in the Corey Kluber trade, but he did not play in 2020 due to a torn labrum in a PED positive test. So hopefully that was not the reason why he was throwing absolute rockets off the mound. But in 2019 with the Rangers, he did have a 2.31 ERA, so it's pretty solid. He's still 23 with a potential, so that's very important for us. He should be a part of our bullpen for a while. And for those guys, we kind of drop off. There's Phil Maton, who's 28 years old, 69 overall B potential. A not very good pitcher. You kind of expect, you kind of get what you get with a, hope he's in the low 4s ERA. And then you have Cal Quantrill, 66B, but he is 26 years old. 2.25 last year in his 32 innings pitched, 5.16 ERA, however, and 103 innings pitched back in 2019. So maybe 2020 wasn't the best, audition. Well, hopefully we get more 2020 than 2019. And there's Brian Shaw, a veteran who's 65 D potential, just kind of a, stopgap, just somebody to fill the pen. Who had 18 ERA in his 6 appearances with Seattle a season ago. Not somebody who the pen's going to be built around. And then we have a couple of other players. We'll touch more on prospects in a couple of episodes when we start to get into the minors. But right now we're just kind of focusing on the Major League squad. And then our closing pitcher will be James Karinchak, who will be replacing Brad Hand, who a season ago went 16 for 16 on saves. That was an MLB best. So Karinchak has some pretty big shoes to fill. I think he's ready for him, though. He's got 99 break, 99 K per 9, and 99 hit per 9. So as long as he can control the walks, which are relatively down, which is low, I do think he could be a pretty solid pitcher. Will be interesting to see what he does in his first chance to really be the closer. As you can see, he only has 1 save going into this season. So that's it with the pitcher side of things. Let's start to get into the hitters, starting with the catchers. At the catcher position, we have Roberto Perez, who's an 86 overall, 32 years of age, but don't let that 86 fool you. He is not an 86 because of his hitting. His hitting is actually very low. It's mostly because he is a phenomenal defensive catcher. Back-to-back gold gloves, but he has yet to play a quote-unquote full season. He's been hurt a lot in past years. He was hurt last year. He's hurt the year before. But when he's on the field, he is a great defensive catcher. As you can see, look at all those 99 defensive ratings. It's part of the reason why his overall is so high. But career 212 hitter, not somebody who's going to wow you at the plate. He is a free agent after this year, so we'll have to see what happens with him. And the other catcher we got in the major leagues is Austin Hedges, another defensive catcher. Just like Roberto Perez, you can see his low contact stats. Career 198 hitter, so our catchers are probably going to be hitting ninth in the order. At the corner spot at first base, our two listed first basemen are Josh Naylor, who can also play outfield, but the former number 12 overall pick in 2015 by the Marlins. Still 23 years of age, hasn't really lived up to that potential yet, but hopefully it's not too late. He might play more outfield going into this season. He's hit a 249 career hitter in his two major league stints. But behind him, we have Yu Chang, who's a prospect who'll have a chance on the major league roster on opening day. Basically, the first base position's up for grabs, so whichever one wants to take it, I would like to be wowed. We also have Bobby Bradley in the organization, Jake Bowers. Maybe I don't think either are ready yet, but specifically Bobby Bradley, you might see him in the coming years. Hopefully, he's not rushed to the majors just because of a knee. Our listed second baseman on our roster is Cesar Hernandez, 81 overall, B potential, the veteran out of Venezuela. He was brought back on a one-year deal. He was a Gold Glover last year, so we have a pretty solid defensive team. We also lost Lindor, who we'll touch on more in a second, but he was the other half of that Gold Glove winning middle infield. He hit 283 a season ago, 279, so he's a pretty solid hitter. Switch hitter as well at the plate. I think he can lay down some pretty solid bunts. Somebody's going to be on the field all the time with 98 durability. Pretty solid to have Cesar Hernandez. He's a good fill-in, especially for a team that's trying to turn the corner into a rebuild. At third baseman, we have Jose Ramirez listed, probably our best hitter at 92 overall, 28 years of age. He is under contract for this year and next year, so he's going to be. We're going to rely heavily on Jose Ramirez, MVP finalist 3 out of the past 4 seasons. So he is definitely a very good hitter. He hit 366 in the playoffs a season ago. So Jose Ramirez, he will be relied on heavily on offense. But behind him, we do have Nolan Jones, one of our top prospects. If Tristan McKenzie isn't considered a prospect, Nolan Jones is our top prospect. But I do think he needs maybe a year in the minors before he is called up. But be on the lookout for Nolan Jones in the future. And lastly in the infield is the shortstop position, which has been manned by Francisco Lindor, but we all know that he was traded to the Mets in the offseason. One of those pieces we got back was Andres Gimenez, the 22-year-old shortstop out of Venezuela. He is better on the defensive front, but hopefully he can grow that bat. We'll see if he can be the Francisco Lindor replacement. Hit 263 a season ago with the Mets in 49 games. And the outfield, starting off in left field, is Eddie Rosario, who was signed to a 1-year, $8 million contract in the offseason from the rival Minnesota Twins. So able to steal a man over from our division rivals. He hit 257 a season ago in 57 games in Minnesota. He's been a staple of their outfield for the past few seasons. He is, however, a free agent after this year, so we'll have to see what becomes of Eddie Rosario. Behind him, we have Bradley Zimmer, another veteran left fielder, as well as Ben Gamel. Bradley Zimmer a season ago hit only 162, so not what you like to see in your outfield. And then Ben Gamel, another veteran of the major leagues. He was with Milwaukee the past 2 years, hit 237 a season ago, so not really much behind Rosario in terms of depth. At center field, we have Ahmed Rosario, who was also a part of the Francisco Lindor trade. He is a good outfield building block. I think he is probably the centerpiece of that deal. He's a very good contact versus lefties. Righties, not very there yet. Very versatile, can play all the middle infield positions, can play all the outfield. He has a potential, 25 years old. He is that building block in the outfield. Has pretty decent speed. Might want to try him at leadoff or high up in the order. I want to get Rosario a lot of chances this season to prove that he belongs. And behind him, we have Oscar Mercado, who's a little bit lower in the overall, but has the same high potential. Last year hit 128 in 86 at-bats, so with a potential. That's not really what I expect, but he did hit 269 the year before, so maybe it was just that shortened pandemic season. But All-Star Mercado is also somebody to watch out for in the upcoming years. And then lastly, in right field, Jordan Lupo is listed as the higher right fielder with 78 overall B potential. Not really much about Lupo. He hit 192 a season ago, so not really the best there, but he's kind of been hit or miss. He will probably be the right fielder because the other right fielder listed is Franmil Reyes, and he is definitely more of a DH. He will be manning that DH spot, and we will definitely be relying on him to hit some bombs. If Franmil Reyes doesn't lead the team in home runs this season, then we probably have a problem because he is by far and away our best home run hitter. He only had 9 a season ago. Hopefully that was a fluke because he had 37 back in 2019, but I expect him to definitely be leaned on in hitting. But that's going to do it for the roster. Let's take a look at the lineups real quick. Versus right-handers, right now we have Ahmed Rosario, Ben Gamble at DH, Jose Ramirez, Franmil Reyes, Eddie Rosario, Josh Naylor, Andres Jimenez, Cesar Hernandez, and Austin Hedges behind the plate. Then versus lefties, we have Rosario, Cesar Hernandez, Jose Ramirez, Franmil Reyes, this time DHing, Rosario in left, Jordan Lupo in right, Yu Chang at first, Andres Jimenez, and then Roberto Perez behind the plate. Keep in mind, this is all temporary. This is what comes with our roster. We can definitely change this as the season goes along. And the pitching rotation, kind of what you expect. Bieber, Savalve, Plesac, McKenzie. Allen will be the 5th rotation guy for now. And the bullpen, Scott Moss is your long reliever. Clase, Maton, Quantrill, and Shaw in the middle relief. Whitgren is the setup, and then James Karinchak is the closer. But that is the roster. Next episode, we'll take a look at the calendar. Will be opening day, 3-game series against Detroit. This week, we'll have 3 episodes of Cleveland. We're going to move a little slowly at first, the way the season will usually go, or the way the series will go if you're not familiar with the Astros series, is we'll play 1 game per series, usually the first one. About 2 series per episode, maybe 3, haven't fully decided. Might go a little slower at first just because we also do have AAA opening up on Tuesday and then AA the following month. I want to make this a very immersive, very deep franchise, so we'll definitely be taking a look at the AAA rosters, definitely be taking a look at AA, take a look at prospects as well. Keep on the lookout for those. I like to try to make this very deep and realistic, and I want you guys' input. Let me know what you want to see in this series. I want to make this the best series on YouTube, the best MLB series. I'm so excited to be bringing this one, especially since I did it a lot with the Astros a season ago. But next time I see you, it will be opening day. We'll have Shane Bieber going against Detroit's Matthew Boyd and a chance to start the 2021 season strong. That's going to do it for me, everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.